Good afternoon, happy Friday, and welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. We start the show with a developing story out of Maryland, where just minutes ago, a federal judge in Maryland sharply rebuked a Justice Department attorney after an immigration official could not answer basic questions about the Trump administration's plans to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia if he is released pending trial. His attorney now speaking with reporters. Let's take a listen in.
Definitivamente, las condiciones que Kilmar Abrego García vio en el CECOT fueron realmente terribles, y si él es regresado ahí a El Salvador, sea directamente o sea a través de un tercer país, México, Panamá, el cual sea, mi preocupación es que el tratamiento va a ser peor aún. Porque acuérdense que la última vez que estaba en CECOT no estuvo en la población general, lo mantuvieron separados de la población general. Y la preocupación es que si él vuelve ahí, lo meterían en población general con todos los pandilleros que lo van a hacer pedazos.
Based on the tone of conversation and the questioning that the judge was asking of the DOJ official, are you pretty confident that you've got a strong case and that when this ruling comes down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that you'll prevail?
I mean, I don't want to hypothesize. We'll see what the ruling is when it comes out. I mean, the judge had some very tough questions for the government on the facts, and had some tough questions for us on legal jurisdictional issues. And you know, we'll see what the ruling is when it comes down. I'll take one last question.
Simon, do you fear that the government could possibly end up sending Mr. Abrego Garcia to Mexico or South Sudan, even regardless of a 72-hour notice that you would get from the judge?
It's certainly a worry in this case, but we have to hope and assume that you know, if a district judge issues an order that's very clear, concrete, and direct, that they're not going to say, in the words of Emil Bove, F you to the judicial system.
A quick follow-up is the box that you said was unchecked. Is that just because ICE has said that it doesn't check it until they are detained?
No, you have to ask them why they didn't check the box.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yet again, Kilmar Abrego Garcia's attorney speaking out just minutes ago after the federal judge in Maryland sharply rebuked a Justice Department attorney after an immigration official could not answer basic questions about the Trump administration's plans to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Obviously, we'll continue to follow this developing story throughout the afternoon right here on the Live Zone. How about we talk weather? Caesar joining us right here on the Live Zone. Happy Friday, my friend.
Happy Friday, Guy. I'm hoping you've been enjoying so far.
Yeah, it's
not too bad, right?
It's a little steamy out there.
Yeah, well, we'll say it's soupy. You know,
Yeah.
unfortunately, this time of year, you know, I know people love soup in the winter, but in the DMV, you get soup in the air during the summer.
It is what it is.
Right? It is
I'll
what it is
pass.
on that one. Most of us will, but hey, looking at today's forecast, right? We talked about how it's going to be soupy out there. Well, that hot and humid air mass still hangs with us. Most of us are going to stay dry for a good portion of the day, but you'll notice that we could see a few rain showers here and there. Not necessarily going to have too much to write home about, but still something to keep in mind, especially if you're planning to have happy hour outside or something like that. There are no flood alerts, luckily for us, as we go in towards tonight. You'll notice, though, it is going to stay a bit on the warm side. Most of us will be back in those 70s as we head into the overnight hours, so no need to really hang on to the sweater or anything. Then looking at tomorrow, we could expect to see some sunshine popping through during some of the earlier parts of the day, and then as we head in towards the afternoon time frame, we could see some rain showers once again making their way in towards our area thanks to, again, that humid air mass. So looking here at Futurecast, you'll notice by about some parts of the afternoon hours, you'll see a few rain showers moving through parts of the DMV. Those dry out pretty quickly. Saturday, rinse and repeat right around that noon time frame. That's where we can start to see showers making their way again in towards our area, then slowly drying on out, but still staying pretty scattered through most of the area. And then Sunday, once again, that is where we could see more rain. Yes, unfortunately, it is all happening towards the afternoon and possibly even some of the evening hours for parts of Sunday, but not going to be too much rain, luckily. So we do get a break from the heavier stuff. Then as we will look at the temperature trend, we'll stay in the 90s for both today and Saturday. Then as we head in towards Sunday, we'll see temperatures dropping just below the 90-degree mark at 89 degrees, 88 going into the new work week. But the new work week, we're expected to see that there is some of that rain opportunity also still hanging with us. You'll notice that by the time we get towards around Tuesday, Wednesday, slowly becoming more towards the afternoon pop-up once again, and temperatures steadily rising back in towards those upper 80s and low 90s. So unfortunately, we are not escaping any of this heat and humidity, Guy. It is going to still stay very sticky out there. So make sure to hold on to that water bottle.
Yeah, why am I not surprised?
Right? Hey, you know, DC, it's a swamp.
Yeah.
We get sticky out here.
And boy, does it feel like it. Caesar
Right.
with all things weather right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate you, Caesar. Have an amazing weekend. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That swampy, soupy forecast that Caesar just made mention of, well, you can take that with you on the go. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, despite it already being signed into law, President Trump's big, beautiful bill is still catching a lot of flack. That's because the bill will likely cut roughly $1.1 trillion in healthcare spending over the next decade. The bill will also likely result in 11.8 million people losing health insurance by 2034, with the majority of those cuts hitting Medicaid. So, how is this affecting folks right here in the DMV? Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Michael Linden, Senior Policy Fellow at the Washington Center for Equitable Growth. Michael, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess we should start off by saying this is somewhat concerning. Obviously, we're making reference to the folks that are at risk of losing Medicaid coverage. Let's begin in Washington, D.C., where, according to my stats, that could happen to some 114,000 residents.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what folks need to understand about this law is that it makes major changes to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Nationally, as you said, almost 12 million people will lose Medicaid. Another 5 million are likely to get priced out of the Affordable Care Act. So people here in DC and in Virginia and Maryland are likely to lose their coverage either because they no longer qualify, or because they can't keep up with the new paperwork requirements, or simply because the federal government is now going to be paying a lower share of Medicaid, and states and localities may not be able to pick up the tab.
So, Michael, let's just be real. In essence, it's a done deal. It's already happened. It is signed into law. The question is, what will happen now? How does one combat this?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is the law. It was enacted over the objection of the American people who opposed this legislation by historic margins. But no law is ever totally permanent. Congress can always change it. Several of the Republican members of Congress who voted for it have even said they are unhappy with especially these changes, these cuts to Medicaid and to food assistance in the law. So with enough public pressure, I think the law could be changed. But yes, it is now the law. These are changes that are coming. People will see higher healthcare premiums as early as this fall. So the changes are coming quickly.
Michael, it's no secret. It is hot, it is hazy, and it is humid right now here in the nation's capital. I bring that up because, well, quite honestly, we also know that as a result of this bill, electricity prices could rise as well. In Maryland, some 2.1%, or excuse me, in D.C., some 2.1%. In Maryland, nearly 17%. That's enough to make you take a double look.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that this law does is it dramatically cuts investments in energy production here in the United States. So the kinds of energy production that have been added to the grid over the last few years, more energy, some solar, wind, nuclear, geothermal, things like that. Those are the kinds of renewable energies that have been added to our capacity over the last few years. And they're going to cut investments in those things, which means less energy, which means higher prices. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Maryland and in DC and in Virginia. People are just going to pay more for electricity because there is less renewable energy part of the supply.
Yeah, yet again, truly concerning, something that will obviously affect a lot of residents right here in the DMV. And then there happens to be SNAP. We know that in D.C., yet again, some 76,000 folks could be affected. In Maryland, well, some 369,000. Staggering numbers, sir.
Staggering. I mean, we are talking about the biggest rollback in food assistance to low-income, struggling families that we've ever really seen before. Almost $200 billion of cuts overall, big cuts for food assistance, which could also affect school lunch and school breakfast. And it is important to understand that part of what's going on in this bill is that they were cutting these things, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, food stamps, clean energy assistance, all to partially pay for very large tax cuts that mostly go to people at the very top of the income spectrum. So yes, people in DC are likely to start seeing changes to the SNAP program immediately. These are going to happen as quickly as next year. People will have to verify their eligibility more often, and the eligibility requirements have been tightened. And then for the first time ever, states and localities are going to have to pick up a portion of the tab. And again, some of these states are not going to be able to do that. They're going to have to raise taxes or cut people off of the program.
Yeah, Michael, you heard me make mention of this earlier, and that is some 11.8 million people will lose health insurance by the year 2034. That seems so far away for so many folks, but yet again, that's something that should be top of mind for a number of residents right here in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area.
That's right. The coverage effect will start taking, these coverage losses will start coming sooner than that. That's sort of by the end of 10 years, how big will the coverage losses get? But like I said, there's going to be higher premiums for people as soon as this fall. Some people will get priced out of coverage as quickly as next year. And then some of these changes to Medicaid could start happening late next year as well. So we are talking about people losing their insurance and facing higher prices in the healthcare system pretty much right away.
Yeah. Michael, as we wrap up, anything we should be made aware of? Anything else?
The last thing just to remind people or to raise up here is that these cuts will also affect things like hospitals and nursing homes. Many rural hospitals rely on Medicaid for to make their ends meet, frankly, to stay in operation. And many rural hospitals have said they will not be able to continue operating. And the same is true for nursing homes. Medicaid pays for about half of all nursing home care in this country. So we are likely to see pretty significant changes to the healthcare system for everybody. And I think that is a major concern.
Yet again, vital information we wanted to make sure we passed along to our viewers. We have been joined by Mr. Michael Linden, Senior Policy Fellow, Washington Center for Equitable Growth. Michael, truly appreciate you coming on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, as many of you know, ticks are more than just a nuisance, are they not? They can pose serious health risks through the diseases they transmit. With the summer months in full effect and outdoor activities increasing, understanding ticks becomes even more critical. In this case, we're going to discuss what you can do with your yard. Joining us is Mr. Kurt Avery, founder of Sawyer, a leading innovator in outdoor protection products since 1984. Kurt, truly a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Well, thank you for having us.
All right, so I got to tell you, Kurt, when I think of ticks, I think of, let's see, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, you're out and about, you're having a great time, you go back to your tent, and dear God, what is this on my wrist? It's a tick. But that doesn't just happen when you're camping. It happens day in and day out, and we're hoping to bring more awareness as to what one can do to prevent that.
Yeah, hope so.
And so with that being said, Kurt, I'm hoping you could share with us some of the ways we can go about to do just that.
Okay. Well, I usually start by saying, let's understand ticks first. If you understand ticks, we can take some of the panic and the angst out of it. Ticks only breathe once every 15 minutes. So they're very slow metabolism, very easy to catch, whatever. So if you have one on you, you do not need to panic. There you go. You see somebody taking that off. That's the correct way to take that off too. So they will take anywhere from 8 to 24 hours before they're sharing their bacteria with you to make you sick. So if you do see one, don't panic. It's not like the other bugs where you got to get it away right away. You have plenty of time. They always climb north, so you're going to find them in the back of the knees, the crotch, the armpits. And if they can't find a soft, dark skin, very easy for them to get into, then they're going to end up on the head. Again, and then let's understand where they are and why they are. Most people, the reason we're seeing so many more now is we keep building our homes into the woods. And as we go into the woods, we get away their natural predators. The foxes go away, the hawks, all that stuff don't want to live around us. They were the predators. It's the mice that perpetuate the ticks, not the deers. We think about deer and all those big animals, but it really starts with the mice. A typical mouse will have 10 to 12 ticks on it. And the way you get rid of that, though, those ticks, is if you take little cotton balls and you spray them with permethrin and you leave them out, the mice will take them back to their nest, and then the ticks will die when they come in contact with the cotton. So you can reduce the tick population in your local area. Not going to help you while you're hiking, though, because they're going to be out there.
Yeah.
So remember that they always climb north. So they're going to be in the top of the grass. They'll be in the bushes. They're activated when they sense your carbon dioxide or your heat, and they're going to just reach out and try and grab onto you. So when they do grab onto you, they're going to embed that little mouthpiece. So when you take it off, that as you showed in your picture, you have a lot of time. You don't need to snap them off. Get that tweezer or removal device underneath it and just gently pull it out very slowly. Remember, they only breathe every 15 minutes, so you can sneak up on them pretty good. And you want to do it gently because you don't want to leave any parts of the tick in, and then you clean it with antiseptics or alcohol wipes or stuff like that. As far as preventing it on yourself, permethrin treated clothing, you can treat it yourself. We're the #1 brand of repellents that are put onto the fabric. If you have, like in the picture right now, if you have bare skin because it's hot out, then a topical repellent, DEET or picaridin, will do that as well. Permethrin will actually kill the tick. So if you have long pants, you tuck them into your socks, you treat the pants. The tick will, once it crosses 1 inch of fabric that's treated with permethrin, it's going to die that day. It may keep crawling for another 3-4 hours because remember, it breathes very slowly and absorbing the chemicals very, very slowly, but it will die. It will not embed if you've got permethrin treated. So you do your pants, you do your shirt, you do your socks, permethrin, and you can do your dog too.
Yeah.
Permethrin will last for 6 to 7 weeks, depending on how you put it on.
Yet again, vital information, Kurt. Vital information for all of our viewers, especially during this time of the year. I'm thinking about, yet again, many folks going out and about and want to avoid all things ticks. Kurt, folks that want to find out more information, how would one go about to do so?
We have a lot on our website, which is Sawyer.com. There's a lot of information. There's Lyme disease organizations, several of them, which we're part of. They have a lot of good information. You can just Google those, Google Lyme disease, and those will come up. Obviously, our website contains a lot of information about ticks and how to prevent them and how
that
to
website,
take care
Kurt?
of them. Sawyer, Sawyer.com. It's like Tom Sawyer, Sawyer.
As 123. Yet again, we've been speaking with Mr. Kurt Avery, founder of Sawyer. Thank you so much for your time. We'll have to leave it there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Turn me up just a little bit more. Check, check. Verse 1 and go too focused, leaving you unnoticed. It's my problem.
You heard the song Love in the Middle, the #1 song in the country, topping both the media base and Billboard R&B radio charts by my very good friend, hailing from the nation's capital by way of Duke Ellington School of the Arts. He's an R&B star, but just daggone it, he's a star just in general. We're talking about the one and only Kevin Ross joining us right here on the live.
I gotta clap it up for him.
Yeah,
Like,
clap
that's
it up.
like, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. That's a good one.
What's up, my man?
What's going on, my brother Guy? How are you?
I am awesome, brother, but in this case, it's all about you. First and foremost, congratulations. I've been waiting to say this for so long, and I guess it's not new to you because I think this has happened before, but how does it feel to be #1 in the country?
It feels amazing, and it feels this much amazing as far as being independent. Being an independent R&B artist is my first #1 as an independent. I've had a #1 before with Long Song Away, but I was signed to a major. So this is really big, not just for me, but for just the ecosystem of independent R&B itself. And so it just allows for people to understand that anything is possible as it pertains to having the right team, the right management, just the right people in place. And you can really do some real damage out there on radio. So I'm really blessed.
I have to say that I love that you focus on saying having the right people around, but it's also about having the right song as well. And I mean, this song really gives that old R&B feel while still matching like some poppy feel of like today's era. So how do you hold on to that true essence of like the start of R&B while still remaining true to yourself in this present day?
But that's a great question. I consider myself like a bridge, right? So, my mom and my dad really, brought in a lot of great music from the 70s and the 80s and then of course me, being a 90s baby and just kind of bridging that gap and creating this fusion in the sense of I want to create something that my mom and my dad would like, but then I want to create something that my little brother and my cousins would like as well. And sometimes that could be a difficult feat, but because I have love and I know, both of their taste in the sense of the spectrum, I try to, go into the studio and try to accomplish that type of vibe each time.
Yeah, it's so cool that you touched on that, Kevin, and I'm talking about family. When I first met Kevin, you were doing your thing. Let me just put it like that. Since then, you are now a family man. Not to say you never were, but obviously you are a father as well. What does that mean, and how does that help you with the writing process, if at all, when you go into the studio and write a song such as this #1 hit, Love in the Middle?
Yeah. To be honest, being a father, it has allowed for me to not overthink the process of creating. It allows for me to, really rely on the gifts that God has given me and not to second guess or to question, the ideas or thoughts that He's placed inside of my mind. And so for me, my job is just to execute, and then for me to then overlook to say, okay, or I'm sorry, to look into the process to say, okay, does this make me feel the same way that I felt when I created it yesterday? And then, going from there. But yeah, having my son KJ has been like the ultimate blessing in the sense of creating music and being free to create music, because my time is limited. And so since my time is limited, I don't have to think so much. I just really have to react and, make sure that I crank it out. So it's been a really fun process.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like of the song, and Guy knows this. I recently just got back from Essence Festival, and I got a chance to speak to the legendary John B. And we were talking about how old school R&B, we're missing that now because there's no begging. You know, the men aren't outside begging. They're not groveling on their knees. You know what I mean? Like they're not outside the balcony trying to get back to their girl. Do you think it's time for men to start begging again when it comes to R&B? Like, is that the je ne sais quoi that we're kind of missing?
I'm gonna be honest. I think that yes, as far as like begging or just being transparent and being honest and open in the sense of having dialogue within your songs, making sure that you're creating conversation pieces. And I think that it's as much as it's cool to have a vibe in a song. You want to be able to have records that really get people talking. You know what I mean? Whether that's barbershop talk, beauty shop talk, whatever the case may be. But as long as they can see and feel your heart through the music, that's what's most important. And I think that there are artists and their songs that are out there that do that. They may not have the most exposure or the most visibility, but that music is still being created. It still exists. It's the fact that you just have to find it. You have to dig deep in the DSP systems to find these great songs. So I don't think that it's missing. I just think that the marketing behind it, there's not enough dollars that really support that type of music anymore.
Kevin, I think Sylvia just wanted you to get down on bended knee and just start singing.
I miss that guy. I miss you saying I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moons, the stars, the mountains. We need a little more of that.
Kevin, one of the things that you do, and you do it oh so well, if not the best, and that is your mashups. I mean, every time you put one together, man, I am just amazed by what you do. How do you come up with that? And is there a certain, do you go in the lab and just say, you know what, I'm going to do this song, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to reach out to this artist? How does that happen, man?
What's the recipe?
I'm gonna be honest. So I always wanted to be a DJ. I always wanted to have like my little Pioneer set and do all that stuff. I never had a DJ name or anything like that. But in my mind, I always thought that I can mix songs. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to use my musicianship and I'm going to add this into this mashup series. And so it started off with just me being in these little boxes. And then the next ideation of it was to invite the artists that I was paying tribute to. So Slim from 112 or Case or Mila from 702 and a couple of more people that I have coming up. And so I'm really, really blessed as far as like, I think the mashups have garnered like hundreds of millions of views across all platforms, YouTube, social media, you name it. People have really shown love to it. And it's definitely something that is, I guess, singular and unique to my brand. So it's really cool.
I think that's perfect, literally. I mean, you mentioned being an independent artist. You also mentioned about having the right sound and the team. And then also, there's music out there. People have to find it. What's one piece of advice that you could give to an artist that maybe is on the same path as you or trying to get to where you are? What is one piece of advice that you could give to someone to help to pull them up and through their journey?
I would say truth doesn't change with trend. What God is giving you is going to be for you. I'm a true testament of that. My last #1 was 8 years ago. 8 years ago. And so I remember being through the process of people saying, okay, well, why do this when, the best of you was, so many years ago. Are you ever going to get back to having number one records? Is it done for you? And so you just have to have this level of relentlessness and understand that the gifts that you are given is God's truth. And you have to make sure that you refine that, you fine tune that, and you make sure that you learn from each and every experience. You know what I mean? It's not a L, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. And you have to apply that lesson. And so for every artist that's out there, whether you sing, dance, act, photography, videography, you name it, keep going, keep going. Make sure that you affiliate yourself with people as far as your network, people that are next to you. You never know who's going to be who in the next couple of years, especially within the city that we're in, DC, Maryland, Virginia, the whole DMV area. We have to make sure that we stay connected and we build that network because there's amazing talent that is here. And I'm really excited for not just my future, but the future of the city and the creatives that is going to come out of it.
It's not a loss. It's not a lesson. It's love in the middle. And
love
right
that.
now, it's number one in the country for both media base and Billboard R&B charts. Congratulations, my man. Always good to see you. Can't wait to check you out. I think I'll see you in September at the Soul Symphony in Atlanta.
That's right.
Well, don't leave
That's
me
right.
behind. I want to go too.
Ladies and gentlemen, he needs no introduction. The man with the master plan. This is Kevin Ross joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time.
Yes, thank
Thank
you so
you,
much.
guys.
All right, guys. How cool was that?
That was amazing.
Congratulations going out to him and representing D.C. unlike any other.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to sit at my desk and listen to the music again. So
We'll
if you
take
see
a
me
quick
swaying,
break.
don't mind me.
We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So it's official. The Live Zone has officially been stamped. Why? Because TV personality, lifestyle expert, media mogul. I can just go on and on. Soon to be author. Well, really is. Val Greenberg joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, my friend.
Guy, it is so good to be here with you. And by the way, I'm obsessed with your suit.
Oh,
I was
thank you.
telling him this as we were walking to the chair. You look so sharp.
Well, thank you. Someone on Metro said I look like a pumpkin, but
Oh my God, well,
Take that.
ignore that. You know what? You focus on the compliments that come your way, not the negativity.
Well, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, speaking of positivity,
Yeah.
we are so positive and excited for you about your brand new book
Thank you.
entitled Validated, or
Yeah.
You've Been Validated. Let me get it correct. This is just so cool for you. I have watched you from afar for so long, and to see you actually venture into something that's perhaps a little bit different, it really, well, not only inspires me, but I would think inspires so many others.
Well, that means the world to me because truly, like, we obviously have a gift. We get to sit down with people every day that are different and ask them questions and learn and be inquisitive. But what I realized in that moment was I really wanted to lean into my passion and what I know can serve other people. And that was essentially my being an extrovert and a natural born connector, which is why I wanted to put a book together that sort of gives you all those tools and takeaways that you can make your own to just make every day a little bit better in terms of communicating. With some pop culture references, of course, throughout, because listen, we get a little behind the scenes action and we gotta let people know what's going on.
You are all over. I'm so excited to have you because I perused through your Instagram.
I'm
Dear
honored
God,
to
you
be
were
here.
just at the Hamptons the other day. Excuse me.
It's funny. I was like in Atlanta doing a media tour, then I came back for a day, then I went to the Hamptons. So actually, there is a magazine that I write for called Hampton Storyboard. I haven't had my coffee yet. And they put a moving billboard of me in the Southampton Parade, which was really cool. But the Hamptons is really an amazing place because people that are 21 to 75 and 80 hang out together. And like, I honestly don't know if that happens anywhere else. And I mean, people in their 70s and 80s can party, and I am here for it. They have more energy than me. But it was incredible because my friends hosted a beautiful barbecue for the 4th, which was really awesome. And then we were at different restaurants and bars, and then like there was fireworks and live performances by some of like the coolest hip hop names and stuff. I ran into one of my former clients when I was there. You never know who you're going to see, whether it's movie star or you know, athletic mogul. I mean, Michael Rubin was at this party. We all know he owns Fanatics. And guess what? I took a page out of my own book and I walked up to Michael Rubin, who's one of the most powerful people I see. You know, he owns Fanatics and he's a self-made guy. And I said, I gotta say, I gotta introduce myself to you. I have a book coming out, otherwise I wouldn't be taking my own advice. And he goes, you know how many times I've done that? And like all this stuff is going on at the party. I'm like, here's your inval. Like he's just standing there like at his little table. Boom, go, glow, and make it happen.
Wow.
So it was networking, it was fun. And I got a few numbers of some good looking gentlemen along the way. So literally I was working out there, I was having fun with friends, relaxing, and moving and shaking.
Well, in that case, let's move on to what we call our Friday Talkers. In this case, this happens to be some of the stories that folks are talking about at home and on social media. You think you could, well, let's say, speak like the British, Val?
You know, it's funny because one of my best friends is from Watford in England, and he's also a television producer, which is great, on a really big show. And he's always like, Valerie, da-da-da. And whenever I try, my brother's like, Val, can you stop trying to talk like John? I mean, obviously there are dialect coaches for a reason, and unless you go to one and you're going to be in a big blockbuster, I mean, have fun with it, but you're probably going to sound silly.
Well, most Americans think they can do just that. Nearly a third of Americans think they could pass as British based on their knowledge of the UK culture, while 27% felt somewhat confident that they could nail the British accent. 26% say, yeah, it's not going to happen. For me, it's not necessarily about the actual accent. It's the words they use. So, for example,
the vocabulary, the lingo. I'm like, wait, can you repeat that?
Sure. Vacation, holiday. Let's
I'm going
see.
for holiday.
Apartment, flat.
My
And
flat.
then,
That's how my friend John says it.
Fries, chips.
Oh, chips. Valerie, do you want to get some chips? I mean, how do I sound? Literally type in.
Well, you have it down.
I mean, I'm trying, but that's because I'm talking really fast, so you won't really know what I'm saying. No, but it's always fun to pretend to be British because we associate England with poise and proper, and I don't know how poised I am. I'm not an etiquette expert, but I am a lifestyle expert.
Well, in that case, let me sit up straight,
Yes, here we go. Let's do our best.
We'll move on to the next one.
But I do always feel polished when I'm around my British friend. I'm like, you make me look good.
Yeah, it kind of just like rubs off on you
100%.
a little bit. All right, well, perhaps you need to rub this next item. I'm referring to a new cell phone case that's, well, let's just say it feels like human skin. Can you believe this, Val? Yeah, it's weird silicone phone case, and it feels, as I stated, like human skin. It was made because, well, the creator said, you know what, if you happen to be outside, so many times you forget to put on sunscreen. So this actual phone, while it's outside with you, it will tan and remind you that, you know what, perhaps I need to put on more sunscreen.
That's a very interesting, odd feature, but it's interesting what triggers our memories. I mean, there was obviously some science probably behind that, but let's ask a question. Is it smooth or is it like, if you didn't shave, you know what I mean? Your legs can be bumpy. I mean, how smooth is it? We all have different types of skin.
Yeah, and what if it has a pimple or two? Like, you know?
I know, exactly. Listen, you drop it on the ground and then it gets a little scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, not so smooth.
It's just really
that's
weird to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know, and next thing you know, it's going to start talking. Then I'm completely done.
Just wear sunscreen, always.
Yeah.
Start your day with it.
I'm with you on that one. The perfect thing to end with. Okay, speaking of ending, we'll end with this, and that is relationships. So, Val, I'm not going to get into your business and ask if you're in a relationship. I'm not. However, I'm going to take these tips should I venture to do just that.
Love
in this
it.
case, well, researchers say in order to stay in a relationship, it boils down to one thing, Val. That is, do chores together. Apparently, the more
Interesting.
so you do that, the likelihood that you will actually stay together. So that means doing the dishes together, washing laundry together, you name it, do it together, and, well, there's a high probability that you will very soon somehow walk down the aisle and say, I do.
I guess like that's like kind of, you know, homing, if you will, or bonding. I would say like work out together or something like that.
That's
that
a
like
good point.
has endorphins, because then if you're spending time with your partner doing things that actually boost your mood, you'll have a more positive association with them.
Yeah.
Again, I am no psychotherapist. However, that would be an idea that I would have, because when you're in a positive mood, the people around you tend to
That
feel
is
that
so
way.
true.
So if I'm washing dishes and I'm like, oh no, my nail just broke, and then I yell at my partner about it.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, there is no partner, so hit me up. No, but truly, like, it's kind of, but I get it. Listen, if you share the responsibilities, that's a responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
So perhaps it works.
Well, the study also said it helps make you both equal, and I think that's
Fair.
key in a
Respect.
relationship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's be honest. Who loves doing chores? Nobody. But at the end of the day, like, respecting your partner and communicating, I think, is really the biggest key. But that's the thing. Like, if you're a guy or a woman, don't expect your partner to do all the work. You have to say, how can I help?
Well, I can tell you one thing. We have nothing but respect for Val Greenberg right
Oh
here
my
on
gosh,
the
you're
Live
so
Zone. If you haven't
sweet.
already done so, make sure you get the pre-order of the book. You've been validated. It's not get it now, but get it right now.
Yes. Oh, Guy, really, thank you so much for having me. You brightened my day.
Oh, thank you.
Of
Val
course.
Greenberg joining us right here on the Live Zone. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So the wait is over. It's finally here. Yes, we're talking about The Man of Steel back in theaters. However, it's a new era for a 90-year-old superhero, producer Chris.
You knew it was me?
Okay, Clark Chris.
The glasses didn't fool you? I mean, it's worked for nearly 90 years for the Man of Steel. Listen, you mentioned it's a new era. That's because we have a new actor playing the Boy Scout in the blue and red tights. We have a new director. It's a new DC Studios, a new era for DC Studios. And it's a new take on a very classic character. But I gotta say, it may feel a little familiar to longtime fans of the comic books. Take a look.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
The latest high-flying Superman adventure is in theaters now. And while the character has been around in comic form for nearly a century and a staple in movies and TV for nearly 50 years, we've never seen the last son of Krypton quite like this.
For so long, comic book movies, especially superhero movies, have been made with the general audience in mind instead of the geek audience. This feels like a superhero movie made for the geek audience. And hey, let's just hope the general audience comes along for the ride as well.
That's former Washington Post comic book culture writer, author, and professor David Betancourt. He saw a special advanced screening of the movie and had high praise for the new Man of Steel.
I think that David Cornswet did a fantastic job as Superman. It is not an easy thing to do when you have the legacy of Christopher Reeve, and no matter how old you are, that many times is the first person you think about when you think of Superman. And I think for David Cornswet to take that on and make it his own when so many people have brought something to that character, he did a great job.
Superman.
So far, critics seem to agree. But before it even premiered, the movie got some backlash for one particular storyline integral to his origin story. Not to get overly political or anything, but Superman is, he's the Boy Scout. You know what I mean? He's the immigrant. And obviously that storyline has kind of picked up a little traction recently, especially with everything going on in the world today, everything going on in America today, going back to the Brandon Routh Superman Returns in 2006. It was controversial that Perry White, Frank Langella said truth, justice, all that stuff. Truth, justice, and the American way. How does this character, whether it's in comic books, whether it's in just pop culture, whether it's in the movies, kind of tie into this sense of being an American, even while being an alien, and is he a political character?
The conversation about whether comics are too political or whether they should be political at all, it's an interesting one because there are a lot of people that, if you look at the history of comics, would say so many major comic book storylines, so many major heroes were brought up. There's always a little bit of a political undertone in the stories. In the case of Superman, even James Gunn, the director and writer of this movie and the co-head of DC Studios, has said this is an immigrant story. We are going through things in this country right now where certain communities are being extremely impacted, and I think it's, at least on screen, very inspirational to see what you're going to see with David Cornswet in this performance. Probably more so than any Superman movie I've ever seen. I'm even including the Christopher Reeve movies. The character of Superman has always kind of been borderline deity in terms of how he interacts with the public, in terms of how the public views him, in terms of how people act when they're around him. Even think about in the first Christopher Reeve movie, the first time he interacted with Lois Lane and how she was kind of on cloud nine and like, is this guy really real? David Cornswet has the most down-to-earth Superman, and probably more so than any other Superman on screen, is very much connected to his country roots of being a farm boy from Kansas, being raised by Kansans, and really feeling that he is a part of the American fabric while knowing he also has this other heritage that he yearns for and knows about, but has been removed from. We've heard Superman as an immigrant. I've heard other Superman creators say this is more of a refugee story because, he was shipped away from his parents from Krypton. But I think one thing that people will take away from this movie is that Superman feels like he has the right to feel like he is an American.
Just part of a 45-minute conversation that I had with David Betancourt. Thank you to him for making the time. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to dive a little more deeply into the impact Superman had on both of us as children and the direct impact it may have had on our future professions. Hint, hint. We also talk about DC's latest attempt to compete with Marvel, because that has been a huge thing for the last 15 years. Marvel has just been going up and up and up. DC, that used to dominate thanks to Superman and Batman, has had some trouble competing, so we'll get a little more into that as well. And I've waited all day to be able to do this.
This guy. Well done, Chris.
You know I'm excited, all right? I'm not trying to hide it.
By the way, great job. Great package.
Thank you very much.
Very informative. I am glued to my, standing up, but glued to my chair, if you will, and I can't wait to see part 2. Coming up at 1:40. So guys, put it on your, mark it on your calendar, clock, whatever you need to do. Set your alarm. 1:40 right here on the Live Zone. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm sorry, Superman. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Put my clothes back on.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. I have been waiting to conduct this interview all day long. Why? Because my next guest really needs no introduction. He's an actor. He's funny, and he's an actor. Shall I say his career has spanned over 3 decades. How to Be a Player, excuse me. Last
sir.
Comic Standing, excuse me yet again, and Def Comedy Jam. Double excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, you see him right there on your TV screen. He's coming to Baltimore tonight, but first he's stopping by the LZ. Yes, the one and only Bill Bellamy joining us right here on the Live Zone. What's up, my man? Good to see you.
Thank you, man. It's good to see you, bro. I'm literally just touched down in the city. The weather's phenomenal. I thought it was gonna rain all weekend. The sun came out. It's beautiful. And I'm learning Baltimore. I don't know if you've been following me on social media. I'm trying to find like cool foodie spots to eat. So I'm gonna try my hand at some seafood. I'm gonna try my hand at some sushi. I'm gonna try my hand at some Italian. And a great steaks. So I got a lot of food to eat.
Brother, you're going to be a little overweight by the time this show starts tonight.
Right now. I'm going to leave here like 400 pounds.
Hey, by the way, when you're out and about there in Baltimore, make sure you say the letter Q. You got to say it like that's how they say it in the accent part. It's Q.
I don't even know how to say it. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Can you hear me pretty good? Yeah. I love coming to the East Coast. You know, obviously I live in Los Angeles, but coming back east in the summertime is so refreshing. I miss that humidity. I miss, the ice cream truck and, people getting Italian ice. You remember all that fun stuff when we were kids, like a good old hot dog. Remember the good old hot dog when the water looked like, I don't think a hot dog's supposed to be in that water. That don't look right.
Bill, you made mention of being a kid, and one of the things that you're experiencing now is that your kids are gone. You are now an empty nester, and I'm wondering, have you incorporated that in your stand-up?
Oh yeah, because they don't need you no more. You go from doing everything. You literally are their blanket. You are their life vest. As soon as they get a car, that's when they start disappearing. They start driving to their own parties, driving to their girls, driving to their crib, their boys' crib. They hang out. They don't want to tell you. They want to act like they're grown, but they need that ATM, though. They need that money.
Dad's making it rain in a major way.
They always need that money. Yeah, they got to make it rain. They still need daddy for that money.
Hey, Bill,
that's what we do, man.
So tonight, obviously, you're kicking it off at the Baltimore Comedy Factory, I should say.
Yes.
7:30, 10:15 show. Then Saturday, 10 a.m. What? This is 10 a.m. on my. You're doing a show at 10 a.m.
No. It's going. No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's going to be tonight.
I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, man, you're getting up early there, Bill.
I don't do no breakfast shows. No breakfast shows.
So, but one of the things that you plan to do is incorporate music in your set. Do tell, what's going on with this?
So we've been doing this like real fun thing where we get the crowd all involved, where we do a R&B showdown, and we do the best of eras, and it has turned into something viral, and it's actually a lot of fun because everyone's always, it's like LeBron and Jordan, right? Everybody gonna say Jordan, and everybody gonna say LeBron, so it's always gonna be one side versus the other. And what's so cool is people start throwing their songs in. So when you come to the show, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, Bill, just a minute ago, we had Kevin Ross, R&B singer extraordinaire, hails right here from
Oh,
the
I
DC
love
area.
Kev. He's a definite dope artist from DC.
Yeah.
He's a DMV guy.
He has the #1 R&B song in the country right now. But I'm curious, with you and R&B singers, the influence, if any, that they've had on your life.
Well, if you know me, I love music. I mean, from my days at MTV and, helping all these new artists become superstars, that was a really great, snapshot for me to not only learn the music, but be a part of the music. So still to this day, I love it as much as I did, in the 90s. I still I got the new Giveon album. I like Kevin Ross. I love Kalani. I like Maida. I like Leon Thomas. Like I could give you 25 new artists that I have stumbled on that I think are amazing. Like they're like new, they have their own sound, their own flavor, and it's good to see the next generation love the music as much as we do.
All right, so we'll end with this, and this is somewhat controversial. Now, I don't know if we should do this, but we're going to talk basketball. In this case, NBA. There's a lot going on in the NBA. Obviously, shout out going to OKC for taking home the championship. But I know throughout your career, the NBA has been a mainstay, if you will. You have focused on it, and it's really put a smile on your face in times when, well, perhaps you just wanted some entertainment, not watching you on TV.
I love basketball. Like, I come from a basketball family, you know what I'm saying? Shaquille's my cousin, and we've always been, sort of like,
Hold on.
Yeah, man,
Shaquille's your cousin.
Yeah, you might want to do some research on me, man. I got some famous people in my family. So basketball has been a big deal. And from my days at even at MTV, where I was doing a bunch of stuff. We used to do rock and jive with the NBA players. I went to Paris with the NBA players. I went to London with the players. So like I literally had an opportunity. I've always wanted to be an NBA player, but like I got a chance to see what it's like to be on the road. I got a chance to, go from city to city with these guys and see how, they move like entertainers. Their games are like a show. They're entertaining. People come out, their fans are devoted. And so like for me, like I love the game as a fan and I love it from the inside and the out because, obviously I've been immersed in it for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, tonight, folks can get a chance to check you out in a major way. You made mention of the NBA. There's something called a Hall of Fame in the comedy aspect. Sir, I think you done reached that point. You're going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, y'all might as well go and put my star on the ground. Go ahead. Just go ahead and do it. Just don't wait on it. Just do it. Call me when it's nice. I'll come and put my hands in the cement. Let's go.
Yet again, the one and only actor and comedian Bill Bellamy tonight at the Baltimore Comedy Factor, 7:30 show, 10:15 p.m. show on Saturday and Sunday as well. Don't have me tell it. Just log onto the website, get your tickets. Not now, but right now. And we truly appreciate you joining us right here on the Live Zone. Continued success to you, my brother.
Thank you so much, brother.
No doubt.
Have a beautiful day. Happy Friday, y'all.
Happy Friday to you as well. Bill Bellamy joining us right here on the Live Zone. We'll take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Now the latest surrounding the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Earlier this week, Hamas said it would release 10 hostages held in Gaza in a bid to reach a ceasefire deal to end 20 months of ongoing war. All this as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu conducted high-level talks here in D.C. throughout the week. Despite what was discussed, my next guest says there's nothing more important then bringing all of the hostages back home. I'm referring to Mr. Ruby Chen. You see, his son Itai is one of the U.S. hostages held by Gaza. And Mr. Chen is kind enough to join us right now on the Live Zone. Sir, truly a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, my condolences. I can only imagine what one is going through that happens to be in your position surrounding all that you have dealt with throughout the past several months surrounding your son. I'm hoping you could set the stage for us, if you will. Can you tell us what you learned with regard to your son at the time that, well, at the time he faced this encounter, if you will?
Yeah, so this is the type of psychological warfare that Hamas has been inflicting on my family. So at the beginning, Itai was taken with 250 other hostages, 12 of them being US citizens. And we had no knowledge about his whereabouts. And that was the case until March, where the IDF concluded, based on intelligence, that he most likely did not survive. But to this day, Hamas have A, not acknowledged that he is in their possession, B, what his physical status is. And that is, by the way, also the case with many others, because Hamas have not provided any type of access to the International Committee of Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, or any other type of entity to understand who they have and what their physical status is. So despite the fact that we were told what we were told, it's only based on intelligence, and as such, we have a glimmer of hope that maybe we have a miracle waiting for us. But in my book, he's still a hostage. And that hasn't changed for over 21 months. And it should be a liability, not an asset, for anybody to take US hostages. And whoever does take a US citizen as a hostage, there should be consequences for that entity that did so. And when being in Washington this week, that's exactly the points that I wanted to convey.
And I'm glad you touched on that, sir. As you just stated, you were here in Washington, D.C. It's to my understanding you had the opportunity to speak with President Trump. One of the things that you encouraged him to do is bring the hostages home. Can you tell us what exactly you said to the president and or the administration?
So it was senior officials. We did not have the opportunity to meet the president this time, although we met him in the past. And I think what we see is that the Middle East, it's at an inflection point, maybe even an historic inflection point with all that happened in Lebanon, Syria, and other places. And it is a U.S. strategic interest to take these fabulous military victories over Iran and others and create a sustainable diplomatic agreement that secures the United States strategic interests for long term. The bottleneck to get to those strategic interests and prosperity for the people of the United States is solving the Gaza bottleneck. And that is, unfortunately, the case of these 50 hostages, including a number of US citizens that need to come out, and we need to solve this. And I commend the president for this week not meeting the Prime Minister Netanyahu once, but several times. He also had in Washington, D.C., a senior delegation of Qataris representing Hamas. And, God bless him for putting that effort, as well as Mr. Steve Witkoff. And I would have thought it would be beneficial for the president to suggest the prime minister to stay over the weekend, keep out hammering out a deal until a deal is done. And we hope that the next coming days with the prime minister back in Israel, they may be needing to talk to his base and get the support that he needs, the political support, that he could actually move forward with the deal that I understand is more or less understood what the parameters of that deal will be, including, I hope, the release at the beginning of the remaining U.S. citizens.
As you and I have both stated, this conflict has lasted for some 21 months, yet again, unimaginable with regard to what you have suffered through. How do you remain optimistic? How does that happen? How can one do so when you are surrounded by such grief and such strife, if you will, sir?
Very difficult, my friend. You know, you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, where am I most effective? Is it being in Washington? Is it getting on a plane going to Doha? Is it talking to the Israelis, the White House officials? And you finish the day with 16 hours of work and you ask yourself a very simple question. Have I been able to move an inch the release of my son? And you don't have an answer. And then you wake up in the morning, it's Groundhog Day all over again. You do the same thing. But we have no choice. Like, I have an obligation for my son, as I'm sure any individual listening to me now, and maybe it's the time also to, you know, give my support to those families out in Texas that have, you know, we have a common faith where we have our children, our loved ones that are missing, and we're trying to find them. And I'm sure they're just like me. They're doing whatever they can, talking to whatever official, looking for whatever type of hints they could get to find their loved ones. And we need that closure, whatever it might not be. And I bless those people out in Texas, and I wish that they have ending that would be positive and they get reunited with their loved ones as fast as possible. And I hope for me and my family will have the same outcome.
Yet again, sir, we remain optimistic. Our prayers are with you and your family as yet again we await the return of your son, Itai. We have been speaking with Mr. Ruby Chen, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, and God bless you and all the United States for all you've done to make these hostages coming out.
Very good, sir. All right, guys, it is now 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's take a full screen, if you will, of President Trump arriving in Central Texas. This visit comes 1 week since flash floods swept through the region, killing at least 120 people and leaving more than 170 missing. And the president, in just a minute, will meet with family members of those flood victims and first responders. He's also expected to attend a roundtable with local leaders. When that happens, and as you can see, Air Force One just landing right there in Kerrville, Texas, we'll make sure we take you there live on the Live Zone. Speaking of live events, we are also awaiting D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to celebrate with the D.C. Defenders. You see the full screen right there. Some of the fans, if you will, now lining up. You're going to get a chance to see the coach, some of the team players, the quarterback, what have you. And what I am really excited to see yet again is the trophy as they celebrate all things with the Defenders. And I hope I said that the first time. The Defenders taking home the championship. By the way, we are going to air the live celebration tomorrow right here on the Fox local app. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the local app so you can see the celebration up close and personal right here on the Fox local app. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, a federal judge in New Hampshire has placed a block on President Trump's efforts to end birthright citizenship. The decision comes 2 weeks after the U.S. Supreme Court opened a path for the administration to begin enforcing the order. Now, the temporary injunction comes after a class action lawsuit against the administration on behalf of U.S.-born children. So, what does this mean legally and politically for the president, and what happens next? Well, joining us to discuss just that and so much more is Professor Alan Sanders, joining us yet again on the Live Zone. Professor Sanders, always good to see you, sir, and welcome back to the show.
Likewise, Guy. Always a pleasure for me, too.
So this came about after the American Civil Liberties Union filed the lawsuit late last month after the Supreme Court backed the president's request, in essence, to scale back nationwide injunctions from lower court orders. Can you really expand on that?
Well, the court didn't like the idea of nationwide injunction, saying that the statute under which these injunctions were based was being interpreted too broadly by trial judges. But the court left open the door to have class action lawsuits. And those are usually the kinds of procedures by which you try to get a nationwide injunction by saying there's a huge class out there of people who are similarly situated with similar issues, and therefore the lawsuit should be certified as a class action, and any decision that is rendered would apply to the entire class, which of course is a class that is nationwide. So this is a traditional way to proceed, and the Supreme Court left that procedure open to be followed.
Professor Sanders, correct me if I'm wrong, but the decision by the Supreme Court will, in essence, embolden President Trump, will it not?
Well, not for the moment. That is to say, nationwide injunctions cannot be used in this case or otherwise in other cases, but class action lawsuits are still permissible, and many of these nationwide injunctions could be translated into class action lawsuits. It really depends on the facts of each case.
So that leads me to my next question. I would say the million-dollar question. So what happens now?
Well, right now, in terms of the birthright citizenship question, the president's order is on pause. It's being appealed to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals will render its decision as to whether there is a legitimate class here and whether an injunction is indeed justified. Presumably, if the court rules for the plaintiffs, then the administration would likely appeal yet again to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would have to render its judgment on those two questions.
Professor Sanders, I consider myself a history junkie, and, well, looking back throughout history, I do not recall us being in this current position. Is it fair to say that we are in uncharted territory?
Indeed, we are. I mean, the constitutional clause that grants birthright citizenship says that if you are, born or naturalized in the United States and under the jurisdiction of the United States, and you're born here in the United States, you are a citizen. The clause is pretty simple. There's no qualifications to it, and so it's pretty plain. If there is to be an exception, then the court would have to legislate an exception, make it up, in other words, and that, of course, would create all kinds of controversies and all kinds of political backlash. So we'll have to see how it actually plays out once it gets to the Supreme Court, which presumably it will.
Well, advocates, it's no secret, have warned possible fallout from the order and saying that it could really prove to be catastrophic. Do you agree with that?
Well, yes. I mean, look, people who are born in the United States under the jurisdiction of the United States, if there's some sort of an exception, these young babies, these people, once they are adults, and in fact, as babies, could conceivably be stateless. And that would, of course, create all kinds of problems. There are many benefits in the United States that require you to be a citizen. And then, of course, if you go abroad and you're deemed to be stateless, one doesn't know what foreign countries would do with you in those kinds of circumstances. So this has huge and important ramifications for people who are born here in the United States and whose parents are undocumented aliens.
Yes, definitely a topic and an issue we will continue to cover right here on the Live Zone. Yet again, we have been speaking with Professor Alan Sanders. Truly a pleasure to see you, my friend. Make it a great weekend.
You too. My pleasure. Take care.
All right, guys. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
gonna start it off. And then I'll hand it over to Mayor. Yeah, you gonna pass it off to the mayor. I know that's how it is. Okay, all right, yeah. I know, right? You see what? Yeah. Nah, yeah, stand right here. No, come on up. No. You have to stand back. Yeah. Right up front. You good? You see? Nah, you gonna stand. Yeah. Right up here. Nah, come on, baby. I don't want you to be blocked by the trophy. That's what I do, yeah. What about right here? Here, once he speak, he will switch back. Ready? Let's do it, man. Stay away. No, you good. Okay. You good. So just step back a little bit because the middle, she's gonna walk past you and step right there. And just slide over. PR training. She good. Okay. I got you. I gotta show where you stand at. It's position. Yeah. Your hands sweaty? Hello. How you doing?
Nice to see you. I'm doing well. Thank you. Okay. I know, but then I'm behind this strapping young man. I can't be seen.
All right. Gladly. You have to be seen.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. The countdown is on any second now. You see the coach standing there at the podium. Yes, I'm talking about Coach Shannon Harris of the DC Defenders. They are champions. Put some respect on their name. In this case, put some respect on his name as well. Got the gig just a couple of days before the season actually began, and, well, you bring home the championship. It appears as though that the big old press conference, if you will, has got underway. Let's go ahead and take a listen in and hear what the coach has to say.
Honored to be here to celebrate our 2025 UFL championship with you all today. So thank you all for that. We appreciate it. We all know that DC is a big sports town and, you know, a huge football town as well. So we are grateful to be a part of this sports town, you know, as the DC Defenders. And we appreciate the opportunity to play here. The best fans in sports capital. We see our fans here. Yeah, we appreciate you all for that. And with the great support of our fans and everyone here in the city, the community, and all of those things, we're happy to be a part of the District of Champions. And that's what this is, a celebration for that moment. Our fans bring so much energy to Audi Field. These guys, you see it here, it's always the energy that bring out the best in these players that are here with us today. So thank you for that, man. Without those guys, there's no us. And so we really appreciate that as well. All season, our motto has been about us, we, and ours. And that's kind of like what propelled us to where we are and gotten us to here, being here today. So we Appreciate that. And this is our first UFL championship out of the last 3 years. We've been in the championship game twice. We finally got over that hurdle this year in the 2025 season. So again, with so much support in the community, so much support from our fans, so much support from everyone, gave these guys the type of energy to go out there and perform the way they did. So we appreciate all of that. And again, thank you all, and thank you, Mel Bowser, and we'll hand this over to you.
Everybody, let's hear it for the Coach of the Year, Coach Shannon Harris. Way to go, Coach. Let me also just offer our hearty congratulations to our DC Defenders. We are proud of you. We want to welcome you home to the sports capital, and thank you for representing us so well. I also want to acknowledge members of my team who are here, Deputy Mayor Nina Albert, who's here, as well as the director of the best Department of Parks and Recreation for the #1 park system in the nation, Director Thenie Freeman. Give Director Freeman a round of applause. As well as our cable television, film, and entertainment director, LaToya Foster, who's in the back. Thank you, LaToya. And welcome home to Emeka Moname, who is the director of the Capitol Riverfront Bid. And our young journalists from DPR Boost Camp. Hi, young journalists. Give them a round of applause as well. So we are so excited to celebrate the Defenders. You've given us more reason to say we are the District of Champions. We know, as you have already described, that sports is a big part of DC culture. Sports power our economy, bring jobs, drive tourism, and create opportunities for local businesses. And what we see at every DC Defenders home game at Audi Field is that sports bring people together, people of all backgrounds, people of all beliefs. And sports give people a reason to be excited about Washington, D.C. So we know the Audi Field crowd. They're loud, they're loyal, they're creative. And I've never heard of a beer snake before. But my team tells me it's a big deal for the Defenders. And so, how do you do it? What is the beer snake? And so when we built Audi Field, it was originally the home of one of our sports team, DC United. Vamos United. Vamos United? All right, but a few months after opening, we found out that the DC Defenders would also call Audi Field home. So we brought football back a little early, and we are grateful for you for that. And then the Spirit came to Audi Field and really highlighted how important women's soccer is to soccer, to sports, to girls, and another championship winning team with the Spirit. Let's go Spirit. And so we couldn't be more excited about the energy and the winning spirit that you continue to help create in DC. We also know this, our kids have to look up to something and some people who are working hard, who are practicing self-discipline and athleticism and team spirit. They have to know that when they work hard in school and in sports, when they participate on their high school football teams or flag football teams, which we know are happening more and more, that they can be lifelong fans, or maybe they would become part of the DC Defenders. So that's what we want. We want to make sure in our world-class fields and parks and recreation and our great sports teams in our schools that we are building people who enjoy sports as fans, enjoy playing sports, and of course go out to great events in our city. So this spring, we know that the Defenders are going to be on the field again at Audi Field, and we're going to be there rooting them on. Right, DC? We know that this summer and into fall, the Washington Commanders are going to field an outstanding football team as well and maybe bring home a championship. We know we're going to be advancing a great plan to transform RFK in Washington, D.C. for a world-class sports arena, but also a wonderful new neighborhood on the banks of the Anacostia. So that's a win for football all across the spectrum of fans in D.C. In this region. So everybody stay tuned for what's happening in the sports capital. I just got great news when I walked in that Venus would be coming to the Mubadala City Open in Washington, D.C. at the end of July. World-class tennis in Ward 4. And so to the D.C. Defenders, I have a proclamation for you. And I don't know where it is. Okay, here it is. And it says, whereas since 2020, the D.C. Defenders of the United Football League have been a quintessential part of spring football in the District of Champions, attracting over 250,000 fans to Audi Field. Whereas, led by head coach Shannon Harris, the Defenders won the first UFL championship in 2025 and recorded the highest ever score of any game in the modern era of spring football. The glowing contributions to the district's modern sports history cement our credentials as the sports capital. Whereas Audi Field has recorded average attendances that frequently exceed 13,000, driving businesses and nearby commercial establishments. And whereas the fervent traditions of the Defenders fan base have become legendary in D.C., with games featuring a hallmark beer snake, is a testament to their creativity and their fervent fans. The Defenders personnel has deep connections to Washington, D.C., with many players and staff contributing to local football success at the collegiate and professional levels. And whereas today we come together as Washingtonians, all 700,000 of us, as football fans and Defenders fans, to celebrate the D.C. Defenders on this remarkable accomplishment and great season, and to thank them for their sportsmanship and representing us well. Today, as Mayor of Washington, D.C., I do proclaim July 11th as D.C. Defenders Day in Washington, D.C. That's amazing. And what do we do with this beautiful trophy? Director Freeman, have I said everything? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we had all right, we have two more short presentations from Director Freeman and Jordan Tamu. Okay.
Listen, thank you, Madam Mayor. As she said all the things. Coach, I want to take a snippet from what you said. You said us, we, and ours. And so Mayor Bowser continues to invest in us so that we are the #1 park system in America, so that our amenities are up to standard and exceed what everyone else has. Our pools are free. We have our journalism camp, and you see our campers here in front of you. And why that's important is because we want our young people to understand that you don't always have to play sports. You can participate in sports in the back of the house, right? You can tell the story of the defenders. You will leave here, young people, because I saw your minds, what is a beer snake? Right? But you will learn what that is because you're going to ask the questions when you have an opportunity, right? And so that's how we advance our sports in our city. At DPR, we have a saying that says, we play too much. So again, us, we, and ours. Now, because Mayor Bowser said everything, and I want to keep it short, I want to introduce our quarterback.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Appreciate you guys. I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and director here for hosting us today, and truly honored to be here. Super blessed also to be here. Could not have done it without you guys, without the fans first and foremost, and then without our players. We fought every year to bring back the title. Back to the district, and we finally did it, and it's right here, right in front of you guys, and I'm so happy, I'm so ecstatic, I'm still on the rise after that win. It was such a great one. Also, just wanted to talk about, the young people and, how much, that means to me and how I love giving back to the community and, my journey in life from going from in Hawaii, born and raised, all the way, and my football career led me to DC. And just having all of that, you kind of learn a lot throughout that whole process, the opportunities, the people that you meet, the coaches, the friends, and the family you built over time. And I just want to say that this trophy, this community, the people you meet will last a lifetime. You create bonds, you create, friendship, brotherhoods, sisterhoods, with family. So I just wanted to come up here and just say that and say I'm super proud of our team. Could not have done it without the coaches, the players, the DC community behind us. And I just want to say I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys' time, and thank you. I pass over the stadium.
Okay. Why don't are there any press questions? We can take a couple. Any press questions? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy yourselves out there. Stay cool.
You have it. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, flanked by the DC Defenders team. Oh, excuse me, the champion DC Defenders team. Of course, they put a beat down on the Michigan Panthers during the championship game. 58-34, the final score. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser calling DC the sports capital of America. Also giving them a proclamation, them being the DC Defenders, stating that July 11th is officially DC Defenders Day. Big congratulations going out to the Defenders. But wait, there's more. The celebration continues. Tomorrow, you see it right there on your screen. They're going to celebrate unlike any other at the Wharf, but you don't have to go. You see that QR code right there? Simply click on that QR code and you can watch it live right here on the Fox Local app. We'll take a quick break. Producer Chris coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. You've heard that saying, look, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman. In this case, this guy. Back in theaters as of today. And although DC is looking forward to the future with regard to what Superman could put all together, well, producer Chris joining us yet again to look back at the legacy of the Man of Steel.
Yeah, I got a chance to kind of sit down and talk to a local comic book culture writer, also expert, I would argue. His name's David Betancourt. And if you know me, you know I love the character. I was raised on the character. The Christopher Reeve movies, Lois and Clark back in the 90s, the comic books I collected during the 90s. Then it was Smallville when I was probably a little too old, but that's okay. All of the Man of Steel movies with Henry Cavill, and now this new iteration with David Corenswet. And I talked to David Betancourt all about the impact the character had on us growing up and the legacy kind of that it left on our adult life as well, our chosen professions. We talked more about his legacy and more. Take a look.
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
It's the dawn of a new era for Superman in the DC Universe. The new movie, directed by James Gunn and starring David Corenswet, is in theaters now. And while most people tune into Superman for the high-flying action, some of us are just as excited to see the superhero's alter ego in action.
In this movie, journalism plays a central role in one of the trailers, but Superman has always, in his alter ego, dedicated his life to a pursuit of truth, justice. He was a reporter, and that was honestly when I was growing up. You know, people always used to ask me why did I get into journalism, and they would name that the evening news anchors that inspired them. And I was always open about the fact that I got into it because if it was good enough for Superman, it was good enough for me. And I like the idea of that's what he chose to do in his personal life, in his free time, quote unquote. How is it portrayed in this movie? Is Clark Kent a good reporter? Is he an ethical reporter? Lois Lane is sitting on one of the biggest secrets in the world, theoretically, at this point. But, they approach the profession very differently. How do you see it kind of playing out? And do you think that it may inspire a new generation of people, especially at a time when journalism is at a crossroads?
I think it's a great question. And I think I'm in a similar situation that you are. And I always sit back and think, the fact that I ended up being a reporter. Now, I got into this business thinking I was going to be a sports reporter. Two of my heroes were Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, local columnists here at the Washington Post here in DC. But I also read a lot of Spider-Man comics and a lot of Superman comics. So that was Clark Kent writing for the Daily Planet, and that was Peter Parker taking pictures for the Daily Bugle. That's Jimmy Olsen running around getting copy and coffee for everyone. And it's funny because when you grow up reading these worlds, it's kind of like you and I both being similar age and growing up on the same comics. We grew up in newsrooms. So it's, even though, we probably didn't start studying it until we got to college or high school, whatever, mind you, I do think it's quite not ironic, but it tickles me in a way to know, especially when I'd be at the Washington Post, especially when the Post moved to the new building, kind of like in this futuristic newsroom, things like that. I would pinch myself sometimes like, hey, just like Clark. It is integral to the core of who Superman is. There's no Superman movie that doesn't at least at some time focus on his time as Clark Kent, who is who he really is, at the Daily Planet, being a journalist. And there's a fun little moment in the movie about that.
Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
When it comes to comic book movies, Marvel has dominated the last decade and a half, which means a lot of people will be watching what the future holds for DC very closely.
A lot has obviously been made about Marvel's success, even if it has struggled more recently. DC being unable to keep up, to compete. Do you think this lays a good groundwork for a new DC universe and kind of how much can it be judged on its own? How much will it be judged against Marvel? How much will it be judged against its own predecessor? And do you think there's room for more comic book movies, more characters in the future?
You know, I said from the moment it was announced that James Gunn was going to be the co-head of DC Studios, that was a momentous moment in the history of DC. I teach a class on comic book culture and media at the University of Maryland and American University. And one thing I always tell my students, because they're of a certain age, they've grown up in an era where Marvel is king and DC's been playing catch up for a long time. I am from an era where DC was the king. Superman, Christopher Reeve, Batman, Michael Keaton, the Dark Knight trilogy. People forget when Iron Man 1 came out and the MCU was taking baby steps, the Dark Knight was making $1 billion. DC had the crown for a long time. They don't now. Marvel Studios has earned the title of being the superhero kings on the block in terms of making superhero movies in Hollywood. However, I think it's best for people like you and I, for the fan base, people who are really into it. It's always going to be better when they're both good.
It's always better when they're both good. Wise words.
Yeah.
And we, as fans, get to enjoy it because it just means more quality movies. We also talked about what the future holds for DC because they are obviously trying to expand the universe. Eventually, there will be a Batman movie. I asked him who he thought should be Batman. He says he thinks that will be James Gunn's second most crucial decision as the head of DC Studios.
Wow.
He did not say who he wants to see. If you want more of his takes on comic book culture, you can follow him there on X, a DC fanboy.
Yeah.
Perfect name for it. Living right here in the Washington area. And at David Betancourt Writes on Instagram. Thank you again, David, for taking the time to do this. And thank you for letting me come on here and talk about something that I have been a fan of for now 41 years of my life.
Great job.
Thank you
job,
very
Chris.
much.
One of the things that you all made mention of is how Superman and Clark Kent, in essence, led you to do what you do now. And I was thinking about it. You know, it's this TV thing. It's really magic. And so many times when I would assume, just like you, when you were putting that together, you were Clark Kent. We just saw it.
Well,
that was super. So now you're a Superman.
I appreciate that. And it's one of those things where, you know, journalism as a profession, you know, it ebbs and flows in terms of what people think of it, but it has the power to do a lot of good. And that was something that always stuck with me, is that Superman in his public life always wanted to help people, and then even as a regular human citizen, that's what he chose to do too.
Good stuff. All right. Yet again, producer Chris joining us right here on the Live Zone. By the way, you can check him out coming up in about 14 minutes. He'll be on The Take at 2. Along with myself. But they want to see Clark
More
Kent,
of
not
this
me.
action.
All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. You're taking a live look at the motorcade of President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, both of which have now arrived in Central Texas. The president about to tour the devastation that has taken place over the past several days surrounding the flash floods that swept through that region, killing at least 120 people and leaving more than 170 missing. The president landed maybe about a half hour, 45 minutes ago. While there, he's also expected to attend a round table with local leaders. And yet again, when that happens, and if it happens within the next several minutes, we'll take that live right here on the Live Zone. In the meantime, back here in the studio, joined yet again with Sylvia, digital content producer. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
All right, we're talking about some of the stories that folks at home are clicking on. Of course, our website, fox5dc.com.
Yes.
Now, this first, we should have ended with the first one, Sylvia, because it's the biggest one to me.
This literally is.
It's the shebang, if you will.
Yeah, so I'm going to be taking a little sandwich method approach here. So
Okay.
we're starting off with a high energy one. If you haven't noticed, it is 7-Eleven Day.
Yes.
Literally. So what does that mean? 7-Eleven is giving out free Slurpees today. You get to have a free small Slurpee, which I always enjoy this. It's such a mark of the summer. The store is celebrating 98 years of birthday. So it's their 98th birthday. And they're also going to be having tongue tattoos.
What?
I thought that was interesting. So I guess
Okay.
they'll be giving out tongue tattoos that you can enjoy. But
How
in
does
my
that
head,
work?
I'm not sure how that works because if I remember correctly, those semi-permanent tattoos, you need water to put them on. So
okay.
I'm not sure how that works with your tongue. But hey, for everyone that enjoys, go out there and grab your tongue tattoo and grab that small free medium Slurpee.
Yeah. What's
That
your
small
favorite
free Slurpee, yes.
flavor?
Pina colada.
Really?
Don't even gotta think about it.
Oh my
Pina colada
gosh.
every time.
Coca-Cola for me.
Oh
all
my
the
gosh,
way.
I never get Coca-Cola.
Why not?
I just am like, yeah.
And you mix it with the cherry flavor? Oh, man, it is
Okay, you mix the
awesome.
pina colada with the cherry flavor, just a little splash in there.
Yeah.
The thing is, I grew up having the pina colada, and then I was a teen. We went out to a Mexican restaurant with my mom, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a pina colada, a version one. I did not like it. That
Yeah.
milk-based drink.
Oh, yeah.
Not a fan. But the
Nothing.
Slurpee version, very refreshing.
Nothing like the Slurpee. I'm telling you, not even the ices.
Not at all.
It can't even compare.
Literally,
Yeah, I
literally,
am Team
yeah.
Slurpee all the way.
Yes, yes.
All right. So one of the serious stories we've been following,
Right.
and it's affected a lot of folks right here in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and that
Yes.
happens to be the layoffs at the State Department.
Yeah, so the layoffs at the State Department, they have announced another round of those. So about 1,300 employees received those emails today. And this is all a part of the Trump administration, basically attempting to downsize the federal government and their reorganization program that's happening here. We know that since the Trump administration has been in office, we have seen a number of layoffs, like from multiple different companies across the board,
Sure.
but also government employees as well. Of course, we have plenty of resources on our website, fox5dc.com, that shares where you can get resources in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. I think that the states have really been doing a great job of trying to have those job fairs, those different resources available for people who are falling on hard times, especially with this second round or next round of layoffs.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We've got about 3 minutes left, and I want to make sure we touch on this last one, and that is because it's, well, the second, well, all of them are important,
Yeah.
but, you know, I'm a huge basketball fan,
Yes,
and so in
yes.
this case, we're talking all things Wizards.
Yeah, so the Washington Wizards are actually kicking off their summer league. One of our amazing interns did a write-up, so be sure to check it out on our website, fox5dc.com. And this is going to be pretty exciting because usually with the summer league, you know, the teams are getting a feel for what things look like. We know that draft kind of wrapped just a little while ago, not too long ago, and we have Trey Johnson and Will Riley, so a lot of people are wondering what these two rookies will be doing and bringing to the team overall, and will this be the year for the Wizards? That's what everyone is wondering and asking, right? We want to know what's going to be going on with the Wizards. Will they take it all the way, come close at least, potentially? You know, I always like to start off on high graces and be like, you know, maybe. We'll see where it goes.
I am the biggest Wizards fan, or one of the biggest, perhaps you'll find.
Yes.
Kudos going. They always invite me to. I'm so grateful, Wizards.
Yes.
But no, they're not going to do anything this year. I mean, they're just going to show up. It's
They're
all
gonna show
about
up.
rebuilding.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it takes time to rebuild,
Yeah.
right? So like with these two new players and other, you know, returning players as well, hopefully through this practice, through the summer league, they can kind of find their footing.
Yeah.
So by the time the season runs or shows up, you know, we can really get it together and lock in.
Yet again, this is coming from someone who
Yeah.
knew nothing about sports at the beginning of this year.
Well, I know sports. It's just not really like my day-to-day life, you
Wow.
know. But
All right.
overall, go sports.
Very
Shout out to the
impressive.
Wizards.
Well, we got to shout out the DC Defenders as well. I don't know if you
Yes.
just saw, but just a second ago, they celebrated with DC Mayor Muriel Bowser. Yes, they won the championship, the UFL
Yes,
championship.
amazing.
But wait, there's more. You see it right there on your TV screen, Sylvia. Tomorrow, they're really going to do it up, and this is
I
going to
love
take
this.
place down at the Wharf. I believe it's District 1.
Yeah.
And so a lot of folks are saying, hey, you know what? It's going to be hot. It could rain. Oh, who cares?
Yeah.
If you don't want to go, you could watch it right
That's
here
right.
utilizing the Fox local app. All you have
Yes.
to do is click on that QR code and you're going to be good to go. Are you excited to watch it?
I am excited. I know Chad Ricardo is going to be there, so this
Awesome.
should be really good. So pull up on Fox 5 DC and Chad Ricardo, because when Chad shows up, it is actually a party in real time. It's not an act. It's a real party taking place. So definitely need to be there.
It's a party in a major way.
Literally.
They were here at Fox 5 earlier this morning with
Really?
Marissa Mitchell, and
Yeah.
she held the it was funny because she was
Yeah.
like, guys, I need some backup. I don't want to drop the trophy. We don't want that happening. And
Never.
obviously, you'll be able to touch, feel, and look at the trophy
Yes.
tomorrow
Have a good
down at
time.
the Wharf. All right. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Sylvia, with all things that we're following for you. Yet again, if you haven't already done so, you can check it out on our website, fox5dc.com. We'll be right back.